Good morning, and welcome to the First Existentialist Congregation of Atlanta. We are a philosophically based spiritual community founded on existential philosophy and feminist principles and dedicated to human liberation and the protection of the natural world. My name is Patton White, and I will be facilitating this morning's Sunday celebration of life. We make our spiritual home in the old stone church, which was hand-built 100 years ago by the African-American Antioch East Baptist Church. We honor their labors of love and the powerful history of this special place. We acknowledge that our spiritual home stands on land forcibly taken from the Muskogee Creek people. We support justice and equality for all indigenous people. Our opening words today are a poem. The poem is entitled, "You Have to Be Careful," and it is written by Naomi Shihab Nye. You have to be careful telling things. Some ears are tunnels. Your words will go in and get lost in the dark. Some ears are flat pans like the miners used looking for gold. What you say will be washed out with the stones. You look for a long time till you find the right ears. Till then, there are birds and lamps to be spoken to, a patient cloth rubbing shine in circles, and the slow, gradually growing possibility that when you find such ears, they already know. We have Aviva with us this morning, sharing some music. A familiar tune for many of us, You Just Can't Make It By Yourself. Please rise and body your spirit as you are willing and able to join with Aviva in singing You Just Can't Make It By Yourself.
Let's go to page 88. You can't make it by yourself. Here we go. You just can't make it by yourself. You just can't make it by yourself. Father, mother, sister, brother, you know you're gonna need each other, and we just can't make it by ourselves. Well, now the rich man can't make it by himself. No, no. The rich man can't make it by himself. When the world is all on fire, helping hands are not for hire, and the rich man can't make it by himself. No, no, you just can't make it by yourself, by yourself. You just can't make it by yourself. Father, mother, sister, sister, brother, you know you're gonna need each other, 'cause you just can't make it by yourself. Now, the poor man can't make it by himself. The poor man can't make it by himself. With no one to share his bread, he'll very soon be dead. The poor man can't make it by himself, no. You just can't make it by yourself. You just can't make it by yourself. Father, mother, sister, brother, you know you're gonna need each other, and you just can't make it by yourself. Hey, the big shot can't make it by herself. The big shot can't make it by herself. What's the good of trying to be in it if there ain't no one to see it? Oh, the big shot can't make it by herself. You just can't make it by yourself. No, no. You just can't make it by yourself. Father, mother, sister, brother, you know you're gonna need each other, and we just can't make it by ourselves. No. We just can't make it by ourselves, no. You just can't make it by yourself. We are so grateful to have each other at First.
Thank you so much, Aviva. Always love hearing from you, and especially that familiar tune. Our speaker today, Reverend Dr. Mellen Kennedy, is a Unitarian Universalist minister and also a Sufi minister, or Cheraga. She serves as minister for the Springfield Unitarian Universalist Meetinghouse in Vermont. Mellen is also chair of the board of the Inayatiyya, a Sufi path of spiritual liberty. She is founder of Interfaith Bridge, an organization dedicated to cultivating friendship and understanding across faiths, particularly among Muslims and non-Muslims. She is also co-founder of the UU Small Group Ministry Network and teaches the art of sacred storytelling and extemporaneous speaking. Please join me in welcoming Reverend Dr. Mellen Kennedy.
Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. It is a delight to be here with you sharing this message about women and Islam, specifically about the veil and our interesting customs and costumes. We are here today to talk about Islam. As a Unitarian Universalist minister, a Universalist minister, I feel so lucky because I get to learn about and study and immerse myself in all the world's religions. And today we are looking at this one in particular, Islam, the moon and the star. And within Islam, we are talking about the custom of wearing a veil. Maybe when you've walked around town or something, or maybe if you're a Muslim yourself, you know what I'm talking about. Wearing of a veil. Some ladies do this. How do we understand? What are they doing? What are they up to? Well, I have a story from my own childhood that I want to share with you. I was raised Catholic. I was raised in the Christian tradition, another one, not in this one. And in the Christian tradition, when I was a little girl, in the Catholic tradition, to go into a church, you had to cover your head. Did you know that? Yeah, it was, that's how it was. If you were a girl, or a woman or a girl. So I was so excited because my family was going to New York City and we were going to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral, big, beautiful cathedral. So we're standing outside and ready to go inside. And oh no, we have a big crisis. All the girls and women, my sister, my mother, my aunts, we had to cover our heads. Well, you know, my aunt and my sister, they all had their head coverings nicely folded in their pocketbooks, and they pulled them out and they all put them on. I didn't have one. Now what are we going to do? So they couldn't leave me out on the street. So what were we going to do? If you're Catholic, you know that you already know the solution. A Kleenex. Oh, they put a Kleenex on my head with a bobby pin, and there I am walking around St. Patrick's Cathedral feeling like a complete dork, and my brothers are like laughing at me. Oh, you look dorky. Well, I did look dorky. Oh, man. And I didn't understand why I had to wear this silly thing that made me feel blech. But my brothers didn't. And it was something about I was dirty, or I took a bath the night before. I didn't understand it. So it didn't feel very good. But I have a friend whose name is Maureen, and she was raised Catholic also. And she remembers when she was a little girl, she got her first veil. She's about the same age as me, maybe like a year or two older. And she remembers it was so, so beautiful. It was made of lace, and she remembers holding it. It actually, hers had kind of like a side part to it, and she thought it was gorgeous. And when she put it on, she felt like a princess. She felt like the veil raised her up so that she felt so special. It made her walk taller. And it reminded her that as a girl, she was sacred. Her body was a sacred, special part of her. And what could be more beautiful, she thought, than being a girl who might grow up someday to be a woman and a mother? Nothing is more precious in the world, is how my friend Maureen felt. She loved her veil. So Maureen and I, both Irish Catholic actually, both raised with the same custom of the wearing of a veil. And for me, it made me feel like, something's wrong with me. I have to wear this thing because there's something wrong with me. And for Maureen, it meant something was special about her. Same object. It's not in the object, is it? It's in the stories we tell. It's how her family, my family, the church, how they all interpreted it and presented it. So I'm happy for Maureen that she felt that way. And I'm happy for all Muslim women who feel that their veil lifts them and makes them feel, yes, makes them feel elegant, grand, beautiful, special, sacred. So thank you for listening to my story from my childhood about wearing a veil. So that part, if we have kids, that's the kid's story. But we're all kids at heart. So let me go on. I want to point out that I have some objects here that are hidden. They're covered. You're not going to see them. So just notice how you feel about that. Do you feel kind of like, I wonder what's in there. How come I can't see it? What's going on? Or do you think, not for my eyes, no big deal, whatever. It's not right or wrong. Not a judgment. It's just information about you and how you feel about privacy, how you feel about things that are hidden, not to be shared with your particular eyes. Just notice your feelings about that. So we're talking today about the custom of wearing of a head covering. Islam is the most misunderstood religion in the world today. And within Islam, the situation of women and the wearing of headscarves is one of the most misunderstood of Muslim practices. So we're going to unpack it a little bit and try to get some more insight about what this is all about. There's a saying, before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. I have a new saying for today. Before you judge a woman, sit a few minutes under her headscarf. So the word for the covering is hijab. It just means covering. All of you out there probably have some hijab on. You might have blue jeans or a jacket or a scarf, a shirt, a blouse, whatever. All hijab, covering. That's what it means. And we think of it as a Muslim thing, but it's not actually. It's not a Muslim thing. It's a human thing. Throughout time, people have covered their heads and covered their bodies in very different ways. And you can think about in the past. Remember, if you've seen the old movies, the movie stars, a lot of them from the 20s or 30s maybe, they have veils and they have scarves. It was a common thing. And personally, I grew up Catholic, and women with head coverings, the nuns, that was just an ordinary thing. And I remember in 1969, when my brother got married, my mom was all decked out for the ceremony, and she had a little hat with a little veil just around her eyes. It was chic. It was the fashion, the way of being. So we think of it as Muslim, but it's just a human thing, the wearing of scarves and headgear. And when I was in seminary and trying to understand different customs, different religions, and in studying anthropology as a graduate student, always to ask the question, why? What function does this serve? If somebody is engaged in a particular practice or activity, what's it doing for them? To not judge, but to try to walk them out on their shoes and see what does it do for them. And so I want to explore possible functions of the wearing of the head covering and what does it mean? What does it do? Well, one of the first is that is calming. It's calming. It eliminates distractions. So you can try this, and some of us have tried it, of when you meditate, to cover yourself. And just try it and see what happens when you meditate, when your head is covered. And so I want to invite you to try it when you get a chance, but I'll tell you when I have the opportunity to preach this in person, and we have a meditation time in the service, and we try it. And then I ask the people, men and women both, what did it feel like to wear the head covering? What was that about? And they say things like, oh, I felt less distracted. I felt like I could center more. I felt like I could hear my own breath, and I felt like I could go deeper. I felt kind of secure and protected. So the head covering, you could say in a way, it's a tool of the trade. For a person who's on the spiritual path, what they want is to go deep, to connect with the source. And any tool that helps you do that is a wonderful thing. Beads can do that. They can keep your fingers busy so you can have less distraction and go deeper. And the head covering is the same. In the Christian Bible, it says, go into your closet and pray, which means, pull yourself out of the activities so that you don't have distraction, so you can go deeper. You see, when I was young, my dad did some carpentry, and he would wear pants that had on the side, they had a little thing where you could put the hammer, because you don't want to get up the ladder and realize, oh, I don't have my hammer, and you have to go back down. So it's a tool of the trade. So whatever your work, your vocation, your purpose in life, to wear clothing that helps you accomplish what you're here to do. And so that's one of the functions of the headscarf. it helps us go deeper. It's calming. It eliminates distraction. Well, one of them we just talked about in when I shared the story about growing up wearing the veil, and that is to set people aside. So a head covering makes you different than people who are not wearing it. You know, if you're, when I was young, every profession had a hat or a costume. You know, if you saw a person with a particular hat on, you knew that was a cab driver or that was a policeman. So it set you aside. You're different than the people who are not that. And it can set you aside as in elevating you, or it can set you aside as in putting you down. And the experience that I had of wearing the veil, it set me aside and put me down. But for Maureen, my friend, it set her aside and lifted her up. So it's not in the object itself, is it? It's in the stories we tell about it. So that's another function that a veil can serve, setting us aside. Another function is privacy. In our modern world, we've just about lost the understanding of the importance of privacy. My goodness, people get onto talk shows and on social media, and they share their most private things. And we're under surveillance all the time, and that's not paranoia. That's how social media works. That right now the eye is watching you, and the social media is taking data on you and knowing about your preferences and your life. We just about don't have privacy anymore, and yet privacy is so important. So important. I understand there's kind of a negative side to privacy. If something is going on that is harmful or wrong and people are trying to sort of keep it under wraps, say there's some abuse going on in a home and people are trying to keep it private so nobody knows that there's some harm being done to somebody in the home, that's a negative side of privacy for sure. So I get that. I'm a feminist, actually. I get it. But there's the sacred side to privacy. In the Christian Bible, it says, "Don't throw your pearls to the swine." It means hold close what is really valuable. That the things that really matter, when we keep them private, we protect them. There's things that are so sacred, they shouldn't just be tossed out. They shouldn't be shared. And they actually diminish. The sharing diminishes them. And in our modern world, we've just about lost the understanding of the importance of privacy. So a covering can be an enhancement of privacy, like what I told you about what I have back here. So another function of a covering is protection. Up here in Vermont, where I live, we're all about plant hijab, covering of our plants, season extenders. You cover your plants so that the frost does not harm them. Or perhaps it could be bugs that might get in and eat them up. So you cover for protection. And another aspect of, and it's related to privacy and also related to protection, is the whole idea of modesty. And I have here a couple of copies of the Quran, and there are a number of passages, not many actually, in the Quran that talk about what we wear and why it matters. And this is one of my favorite versions of the Quran. It's translated by a woman, a feminist, and her discussion at the beginning of this is just fascinating as far as a feminist perspective on the Quran. That the passages that are there in the Quran, in Al-Nur 24:30, women cast down your glance, and it says the same, men cast down your glance. So it's, don't stare, don't be rude. When I was a little kid, my mother said that to me, don't stare. It can make people feel uncomfortable when people stare at their bodies. And again, in our modern world, people stare all the time. People's bodies are objects. So this idea of not invading other people with your eyes, for men and women both, just a human thing, really. Respect each other. And there's a passage in the Quran that says, women, don't display your beauty. Place a scarf over your bosom, over your chest. And as in the Christian Bible, sincere believers, scholars argue about what it really says and what does it really mean. And one of my dear friends, the imam at the mosque, the masjid in New Hampshire, in Portsmouth, New Hampshire area, the Seacoast Masjid, Muhammad Ibrahim, who is a scholar of the sacred book, he says the translation is women may cover, not that they must, but they may. There are other scholars who, I don't speak Arabic, who say, no, what it really means is they must. So good meaning people argue about this. The Muslim women I know say we may cover if we choose to. So what are the various functions? Let me summarize what I've said so far. There's the function of calming, a tool of the trade to help you go deep in your spiritual practice. There's the function of setting aside, hopefully raising up, sometimes putting people down. There's the function of privacy, keeping close and sacred what really matters. There's the function of protection, protecting something that is valuable from intrusion. And there's the concept of modesty and respect, not staring, all those functions. But really, the big question is choice. Who gets to decide? As I said, I'm a feminist. I believe that people should have a choice. Women should have a choice over how they comport themselves. Not coercion, but choice. So I want to share with you again a story from my own life. I just need a little bit of water here. As I said, I was raised in a Catholic environment from kindergarten till my escape in high school. And I wore a uniform through my whole Catholic life. And we had to wear a skirt. It was like this pleated thing, plaid pleated thing. So just ugly, uncomfortable, and knee socks. And in the winter, it was so cold. I just thought, what is wrong with these adults sending these kids out into the cold with their knees exposed? It boggled my mind that we had to wear these things. And I like to run around. We sat on the floor, especially in high school, as we would sit in front of our lockers on the floor. So I really did not like wearing that ugly skirt. But it was the wild 1970s, and we were getting new uniforms. Woo! And you're not going to believe it. Pants. We had the option of getting pants with our uniform. Everyone had to get the skirt. That was mandatory. So we went in the summer to get fitted for our uniforms, and I got the skirt, of course, but I got the pants. First day of school, I show up wearing my pants in I think it was sophomore year in high school. And my friends looked at me and they're just like, Mellen, what are you wearing? I'm like, I'm wearing the pants. We get to wear the pants. We can sit on the floor. We can run. I walk to school. I can walk and not get cold. They're like, Mellen, those are hideous. You look like a dork. They were right. They were the dorkiest looking things. They were maroon. They were the creepiest polyester. They had an elastic waistband that went way high up, and they had, that little funny crease down the front of the pants. They were ugly. Oh my gosh. They were just, I looked like a dork. They were right. So did I wear them again? Not much. Oh my goodness. I had the choice. The powers on high, the principal of the Earl Girls School said, yes, you can wear them. But I had all the peer pressure from my friends. And when I looked around, there were only 2 girls that first day of school wearing the ugly pants. Myself and probably one of the least popular girls in my class of 200. I didn't wear much, even though I wanted to. So was I free? Was I making a choice? Coercion. I know many Muslim women, most of the Muslim women, all of the Muslim women I know who choose to wear a hijab, they choose, they wear it. And they wear it as a statement of, I am sacred. I am special. I am beautiful. And they wear it as a statement of, if you want to judge me on the basis of my character, my intelligence, my kindness. Don't judge me on my body parts and whether they conform or not to your concepts. No. My heart goes out to women who are coerced to wear anything. Muslim women who are coerced to wear a veil when they don't want to. Yeah, choice. And I know Muslim women who want to wear the hijab, want to wear the veil, and their parents are saying, you are not going out of the house with that thing. Why? Because they might be attacked. The parents are concerned their daughter might be a victim of violence for her choice of wanting to present herself with privacy, with power. So whose choice is it? I want to share with you something I heard recently about Angela Merkel. You know who she is. She's the leader, but she's stepping down of Germany. And amazing woman, more than 15 years. I forget how long she's been in office. And she has seen Germany through so many upheavals, the crises, the financial crisis of 2008 and so much more. And she was at an interview and somebody said to her, are you wearing the same suit you wore 5 years ago? And Angela Merkel said, I'm a world political leader. I'm not a model. Come on. So really the question I want to come to is, why are we having this conversation? Why is it anybody's business what women wear, what Muslim women wear, what Angela Merkel wears, what you wear, what I wear? Why is it anybody's business but our own, how we present our bodies? I love that for the women I know who wear the hijab, they are saying, my body is mine. I'm not eye candy for you. They're wearing it with a sense of power, a sense of beauty. So I told you we were not going to see what's hidden. I lied. We are. I'm going to share with you some items here. Before we go poking at Muslim women and what they're wearing, what they shouldn't wear, and I want to turn the mirror around and have us look at ourselves. So this wouldn't fit under my covering, my hijab there, but it's one of my props anyway. So what about backpacks? You see the kids going off to school. They can barely stand up with these big backpacks. And the chiropractors are saying, what are you doing? It's a common practice of wearing ridiculously heavy backpacks that is bad for children. And yet we do it. You see it all the time. We do it all the time. And how about running shoes? These are mine, or they used to be mine. These are horrible. There is research on marathon runners, and they looked at all kinds of characteristics, or, you know, how did they train, what did they eat, what kind of terrain, what did they wear, their sleep, all of that. And they were looking at injuries, like trying to correlate injuries with different ways of training and running. And the thing they found is the more you spent on your running shoes, the more likely you were to be injured. Who needs running shoes? It's a hype. It's a scam. And while we are on the subject of shoes, oh my goodness, yikes. If you want to get out of a burning building or a plane that is in distress, you won't if you're wearing these. And what about bunions and back pain? I think they must have been designed by a man. I don't know. Yikes. And how about, while we're at it, bras? There's research that shows that bras constrict the lymph system, and they are connected with ailments for women. In the corset from the 1800s, we're not that far away from it. They interfere with breathing and movement. And there's even some concern that they may be connected to cancer because they're interfering with the body's functioning and the lymph system. And just to be equal opportunity here, yikes. There have been research where you take a sample from here and put it in a petri dish. How often do ties get washed? In the United Kingdom, it is against the regulations for hospitals for doctors to wear ties because the tie is covered with bacteria and they're leaning into you. Oh, hi, how are you today? And spreading their bacteria. Ah! Oh, actually, one more piece about ties. There's a study from MIT on tie wearers and mental functioning, and they gave them tasks to do. And the people who are wearing ties versus people who are not wearing ties, and mental functioning is lower, you know, ability for problem solving and stuff is lower in tie wearers than people who are not wearing ties. If you ever wonder what's going on in Washington, D.C., well, just a thought. And of course, we have, you know, lycra's great, but it can go too far. There are these pencil jeans, they call them, where they are actually interfering with your circulation and the again, the lymph system. People have actually shown up in the ER in complete distress, thinking they're having a stroke or not what's going on. It's their genes that have cut off their circulation. They can't even hardly walk or breathe, and they have to cut them off with scissors in the ER. So, yikes. So before we go poking fun at Muslim women, how about if we look at ourselves and all the strange things that we take as in American culture, Western culture, as ordinary, that are actually pretty unhealthy and problematic. So I hope for you, for me, for all women, all men, Muslim women included, that we live with freedom and dignity, that we have the choice to be in our bodies in ways that are healthy and comfortable for us. Before you judge a man, walk a mile in his shoes. And before you judge a Muslim woman, sit a few minutes under her headscarf. Thank you for listening to my sharing on women in Islam, the veil. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Before you judge a Muslim woman, sit a few minutes under her headscarf. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kennedy, or Reverend Kennedy, for your remarks today. Please join us on Zoom immediately following this broadcast, where we will have our meet and greet and engage in conversation around the topics brought up today, as well as sharing personal joys, sorrows, or concerns, and community announcements. You can find the link for the Zoom meeting in the chat or comment section of today's broadcast. Next week, we will be welcoming Reverend Kimberly Quinn Johnson with her talk, E Unum Pluribus. We hope to see you either on Zoom or next week at 11 a.m. on YouTube Live, or actually YouTube Instant Premiere. Until then, have a great rest of your day, have a wonderful week, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks so much for being with us today. Bye-bye.